Hello, friend, and welcome back to Couch Tales. You know who I am, your host, Analia, and I'm diving right into part 2 of When Romantic Love Feels Like Parenting. This is from Bob's point of view. Okay, so I know what you're thinking. How could I possibly act like that? It's embarrassing to even admit, but I've been in that situation. I was in a relationship with Sarah, and at first everything was great. She was incredible, funny, smart, and just the kind of person I wanted to be with. But after a few months, things started to change. I noticed that Sarah started pulling away, and the more I thought about it, the more I realized I might have been too much, too needy, too demanding. Let me explain why I behaved the way I did, even though I know now that it wasn't healthy for the relationship. For some reason, I couldn't stop asking Sarah if everything was okay. I'd find myself needing her to tell me that I was doing a good job, that she still loved me, and that she was happy with our relationship. I'd get this overwhelming feeling of insecurity, like I wasn't enough, and I had to hear it from her to feel better. But I didn't understand why I was doing this. It wasn't like I thought she would leave me, but I just needed to hear it over and over. Looking back, I realized that this need for constant reassurance came from a deep place inside me. When I was younger, I didn't always get the emotional support I needed. I guess I never learned how to feel secure without someone else telling me everything was okay. I wasn't helpless. I could cook, clean, and make decisions. But in the relationship with Sarah, I started to rely on her for a lot more than I should have. I'd let her make plans for us, pick the restaurants, or even choose what we'd do on weekends. And if she wasn't around to handle it, I'd get lost. It wasn't that I couldn't do it myself. I just felt like it was easier to let her take the lead. I guess I was always looking for someone to guide me or make things easier for me. The thing is, that wasn't fair to her. She wasn't my mommy, and she shouldn't have to fill that role. When Sarah wasn't available or didn't give me the attention I needed right away, I'd sulk or get upset. I think part of me was just too emotionally dependent on Sarah. If I didn't get that immediate attention, I didn't know how to cope with it. I needed her to make me feel better right away. And when she didn't, I acted out. It wasn't fair to her, and it was really childish. One of the things that Sarah mentioned to me later was that I would expect her to be there for me no matter what. Looking back, I see now that I wasn't being a good partner. I was leaning on her for emotional support, but I wasn't giving back from the same energy. I'd pressure her to make decisions about the future of our relationship, and I'd ignore her requests for space. I thought that if I could just get her to give me the kind of reassurance I needed, everything would be fine. Now that I've had some time to think about all this, I realize my behaviors make a lot of sense in light of Freud's theory. You know, the famous psychologist? He talked about how early experiences shape our adult relationships. According to his theory, I may have been unconsciously seeking out a mother figure to fulfill emotional needs that I didn't get as a child. I didn't really want Sarah to be my mommy, but I guess in a way I was expecting her to meet the same emotional needs that my mother might not have been able to meet. So what's the takeaway? If you're consuming this and you recognize some of your own behavior in mine, I get this stuff is complicated and it's hard to see when you're in the middle of it. But it's also important to recognize when your behavior is hurting someone else. In my case, I had to learn to grow up, to take responsibility for my own emotional well-being. All right, that's it for today's episode of Couch Tales, Why We Do What We Do. I'm your host, Analia. And if you liked this episode, please forward it to a friend who might benefit. Until next time, friend, stay curious and stay kind.